This episode of Bullet Heaven was made possible by Degica Games. In episode 131 of Bullet Heaven HD, we took a look at Shooting Love 2000X, an Xbox 360 compilation of 4 Triangle Surface games. Publisher Degica Games returns with the third Shooting Love title of the newly rebranded Shooting Love 20XX Steam line. Trizeal Remix is an enhanced version of an already enhanced version of an enhanced Dreamcast game, enhanced from the arcade original. Yup, let's take a look. Keeping in line with typical Triangle Surface mainstays, Trizeal Remix is a game that takes a very simple concept and applies it to a fairly challenging set of stages. The main hook in this particular game is a system that incorporates 3 main weapons that can be cycled through at any point. A machine gun wide shot, a homing missile barrage, and a piercing laser attack is indicated by a colored set of icons in red, green, and blue respectively. These weapons can be powered up to a maximum level of 5 by collecting colorful icons dropped by enemies. As a weapon becomes increasingly powerful, their effects are eventually seen regardless of which weapon is primarily selected, adding a decent amount of extra firepower to the mix. There will definitely be times where things get a little too crowded though, so a screen-clearing bomb is also available, with the default stock of 2. Using a bomb makes the player invulnerable for a short period of time before it explodes and clears the screen of enemies and their shots. Heavy damage can also be inflicted to bosses in this way. More can be collected if certain conditions are met as well, but on the whole they're pretty rare, meaning that bombing should be for emergencies only. On the whole, the 8-way movement controls in Trizeal Remix work pretty well with an Xbox 360 pad on Steam. Ship speed is about what you'd expect, and makes for a pretty easy time when dodging more complex enemy bullet patterns. The default face button configuration is a bit confusing at first though. The rapid shot is mapped to the X button on the Xbox 360 pad, with the bomb mapped to Y and a single shot mapped to A. Mode change is mapped to B. All of this can be changed though. Played over the course of 6 stages, there's quite a bit of game in Trizeal Remix, thanks to its solid yet manageable difficulty. Cooler still is that if certain conditions are met throughout the game, usually by killing all enemies while breakout flashes on the screen, secret stage segments can open up, just like in Deltazeal, which we took a look at in episode 84 and EX20. Meanwhile, Score Attack is opened up on a stage-by-stage basis as more stages are completed, and multiple difficulties are available to either intensify or reduce the challenge as players need. However, normal should be able to yield a 1cc with only a little bit of dedication. For players that need a little more help, additional credits can be unlocked as well. While a 1cc is obviously ideal for serious players, survival players looking to get through Trizeal can still feel pretty good about beating the game on the default 3-credit stock, though their scores will obviously not apply. More on that later. On the whole, the gameplay in Trizeal is pretty darn fun with its solid control, a decent amount of replay, and more than a few surprises throughout, including a different player 2 ship and even an unlockable one with a totally different playstyle. Trizeal also has a pretty simple but fun scoring system that makes playing for score pretty rewarding. Outside of enemy destruction, scoring high in Trizeal is dependent on medal collecting. Players can grow medals starting at just 10 points all the way up to 1,000 points each, so long as none are missed. Miss even one and the value drops back down to the default level to be grown again. Knowing how to defeat enemies in such a way that the medals fall in a straight line is the best way to go about getting the highest scores with medals alone. Completing special conditions can also drop huge mega medals worth 10,000 points apiece, making for a good jump in score in no time at all. Another way to pump up a player's score is to collect power-up items when the weapon selected is at max. These extra pickups start off reading max and are worth 1,000 points apiece. There are also a couple of stage end bonuses that will boost the overall score between stages as well. A stage bonus that hinges on the percentage of overall enemies destroyed in the stage makes up most of this score, and leftover bombs in the stock will award 10,000 points each. Finding secret bombs and using as few as possible makes for a great bonus every stage. But it goes even further. If a player can kill 100% of the enemies in a given stage, a perfect bonus is also awarded. Taking this into consideration, players can challenge worldwide leaderboards that are updated as soon as a player gets game over, so long as they don't continue. This gives players an instant update as to where they stand on the worldwide leaderboards. Better still, each and every score, attack stage, and difficulty has their own boards, so playing it on any mode lets players compete against their peers regardless of their skill level, though the number of players in each one will definitely vary. Trizeal, like most other Triangle Service games, isn't the flashiest game around. In fact, it abandons the pixel art and pre-rendered 2D sprites from previous releases and instead opts for a very low-polygon 3D engine that, even when originally released to arcades on Naomi hardware, was substandard as f***. Despite this, Trizeal still has that Triangle Service charm to it that we really like. On a technical level, Trizeal is a smooth-running game that moves along at a solid 60 frames per second. But the visuals are also very rough around the edges with no way to smooth them out, especially when scaled up to a higher resolution. The smoothing options at play here only make the visuals a little blurrier, and even attempting to override the visuals with a heavy-duty graphics card like the GeForce GTX series cards does nothing. But the mechanical design and backgrounds are pretty cool with some really neat enemy approaches later in the game. As is typically the case, the sound in Trizeal Remix is also a little on the iffy side as well. Explosions sound pretty much as expected and most of the shots sound fine. The mode change VO clips are cool and the effects for menu selections are as you'd expect. But using the laser at full power has a grating, scratchy sound when the extra shock bullets impact obstacles and enemies alike. I thought something might be wrong with my sound drivers, and it could be something that this version in specific has an issue with, as I don't remember it happening in the Xbox 360 version of Shooting Love 2000X. Meanwhile, the music is also pretty neat stuff with some outstanding tracks amid some less impressive ones. Again, it screams Triangle Service, but may not be to everyone's taste. Stage 5 in specific is probably my favorite track of the lot, though Stage 4 has a pretty great theme as well, which also made it to Exile in remixed form with vocals. Like all other Shooting Love games, the title menu morphs and adapts to the additional tiles being added to the game as it's completed more and more. There is also Tate support for those players with vertical monitors. Various other visual tweaks like simple smoothing and scaling also allow for Trizeal to fill any monitor regardless of size or orientation. Replay support also allows players to save their best runs. So, how does the Steam version of Trizeal stack up? Let's take a look. Trizeal Remix's controls are everything you want in a vertical shmup, but maybe just a touch too slow. The default button setup is confusing on the outset too. Trizeal Remix also has a very challenging yet approachable difficulty that can be scaled to people's skill level. With lots to play and discover in its 6 main stages, Trizeal Remix also boasts an extensive online and local score attack system, giving it plenty of length. Low polygon and very rough with no way to smooth things out besides making the screen blurrier, Trizeal Remix's visuals are a little on the iffy side. The mechanical design and overall visual presentation is still pretty great though. A decent OST and overall good sound effects make Trizeal sound pretty good too. Some effects sound a little glitched up though. And in terms of ingenuity, Triangle Service's simple to play but tough to master gameplay is as solid here as in any of their other titles. The cool weapon system is easy to use, and the hidden bits are pretty neat, but beyond this, Trizeal is fairly basic. It's no surprise that Trizeal is as fun to play as it is. At a glance, it may not look or sound like anything special, but like many shooters out there, especially early ones by their creators' standards, digging in and exploring its mechanics reveals a fun, no-frills game that is sure to pleasantly test all who play it. Trizeal Remix gets a 4.25 out of 5. You can get a copy of Trizeal Remix on Steam today for about $12 US. It'll also be part of a Steam bundle collecting all of the Shooting Love 20XX titles soon. The original Trizeal is also available in a much pricier form on the Sega Dreamcast. on PlayStation 2 as Shooting Love Trizeal, and as part of the Shooting Love 2000X collection on Xbox 360. However, all physical games are region locked to Japan. This review was produced with a copy of the game provided by Degica Games. The opinions expressed are our own and are not paid for by the developer or publisher in any way.